Randeep Singh Sangura. I am President of Capilano Students Union, joining from ancestral lands of Scamish, the Scamish Level of Nations. Here at the meeting of Capilano Students Union annual general meeting, I am calling meeting in at 12 and 1 p.m. Here beginning with land acknowledgement. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we are hosting today's meeting on the ancestral, traditional, stolen and unceded shared lands of Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh and Musqueam nations. All our activities of CSU are in support of indigenous people. Now I'm going to ratification of general meetings chair. I will now seek a mover and seconder to ratify Titus Gregory as the annual general meeting chair. Motion is be it resolved that the Titus Gregory be ratified as the chair of annual general meeting. I need a mover.
I can see in the chat that that is moved by Sophia Cara and seconded by Mandy.
Perfect. So any discussion on this? So, everyone in favor of accepting Titus Georgie as the chair of annual general meeting, please write I in the chat. I see all I. If you are against this, you can write nay in the chat. First, I believe everyone there is I.
Yeah,
So
it appears the motion carries.
Motion carried unanimously. So Titus, you are chair now. Please have it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for voting for me. My name is Titus Gregory. I've been the chair of the Capilano Students Union for a number of years. I'm happy to chair this annual general meeting of the CSU. I'll explain the meeting rules just briefly. The CSU is a democratic, not-for-profit organization. It is controlled by its members. Every single student at Capilano University, by virtue of being a student, is a member of the CSU. As a member, you not only get to benefit from the services the CSU provides, but you also get to govern the CSU. And you do so in various ways. One important way is by voting in our annual elections to elect the board of directors of the CSU. Another way is to participate in these general meetings. At these general meetings, you can actually vote in favor or against motions that are being put forward. At this particular meeting, our agenda includes adoption of the financial statements and approving the auditors for the new year. We're also going to be considering some motions to alter the bylaws of the CSU. The bylaws are the governing documents of the CSU. And so we'll consider certain motions that have been brought forward, and you can vote in favor or against. You also have the right to speak to a particular motion. If you wish to speak, simply indicate so in the chat box. Yes, Chris?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but unfortunately it appears that we have not met the requisite 75-member threshold for quorum today, which means, per the bylaws, we can proceed to consider the audited financial statements as well as the reappointment of the auditors. We can also receive the annual report and have the question and answer period with the board. Unfortunately, we will not be able to consider the special resolutions to amend the bylaws at today's meeting.
Understood. Thank you very much, Mr. Girardat. We won't be able to vote on bylaw amendments, but we'll be able to consider the financial statements and also receive the report of the board of directors, and you'll be able to ask questions. Are there any questions concerning this explanation? Seeing none, let's proceed. Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda of this meeting?
Folks can use the raise hand function if you would like to move a motion, and Titus will see your name.
Okay. I see that Kyla Fredette has moved this motion and Alexander Stringer Holden has seconded it. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hands using the raise hand feature. Thank you. Please lower your hands. And now all opposed to the agenda, please raise your hands. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it and the agenda is adopted. Now let's proceed to item 6, presentation of audited financial statements. The CSU's finances are audited by an independent auditor every single year. And at the annual general meeting, the auditor presents a report directly to the membership. This way, the membership has an independent outside investigator determine whether or not the board of directors and staff is doing a good job of managing the finances and is not misstating the finances. Our auditor is Mr. Eric Alas, and I'll ask him to give a presentation today.
Thank you very much, Titus. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Alice with Tompkins Wozni. I'm a partner. We once again audited your 2022 financial statements, and I think there is a link there. I just saw it in the chat for the final copy of the 2022 financial statements. And what you'll find there, it does start with our auditor's report, and we have a unique role with the audit. Of course, the audit report goes into a lot of detail. You'll find that on pages 1 and 2. Management has the difficult job of preparing the financial statements. They're doing the day-to-day accounting, making sure that there's internal controls to ensure that there's no fraud or error. That all happens with the oversight and direction of the board of directors. And in our role, we're really independent, and that's why it's titled the Independent Auditor's Report. We're not providing any management services. We come in at the end of the year, do a risk assessment, and our job is to provide an opinion on management prepared financial statements. And that risk assessment ensures that the risks are making sure that the revenues are complete, all the membership fees that you pay. We're wanting to make sure that they're reflected as revenues here. All the disbursements are authorized, paid at the correct rates for the correct expenses. Your balance sheet is cut off properly. Your balance sheet, your year-end date is May 31st. So we're making sure everything is properly stated at that date and for the year ended. And just the overall financial, looking at controls, banking controls, overall financial statement presentation. And I think as was noted, you are a registered not-for-profit under the BC Societies Act. So we look at some regulations around that. CRA, Canada Revenue Agency, called the CRA, looking at compliance around T4s, GST, and just the overall financial statement presentation. And I'm happy to report you will find on the auditor's report on page 1 in the second paragraph our summary opinion, where we are stating as independent auditors, we feel that these financial statements as prepared by your management team do present fairly for your May 31st, 2022 fiscal year end in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. So unqualified report, very smooth process on our end. So thank you very much, Chris and the rest of the management team, Salo in finance, and the board of directors for their oversight and direction on financial controls and financial reporting. Very pleased to present that unqualified clean auditor's report. We as an independent group have a high degree of confidence in these financial statements. Just quickly then, I'll just highlight just 2 minutes perhaps. If you do continue on in the financial statements, you will find the statement of financial position on page number 3. Now you will find we follow fund accounting. So there is a lot of different funds, I think 10 of them. But if you are looking for the consolidated overview number, if you go to the totals column in column number 11, second column from the right, there you will find the totals as at May 31st on page 3 of the statement of financial position. There it shows $7.4 million in total assets at the end of the year. That's primarily cash and term deposits. And you also have a leasehold investment in your student union building. Then you have going down the page, you have some liabilities, mostly deferred membership fees received in advance for 2023 of $650,000. And the second line from the bottom is what's left over. The total fund balances, that's at $6.7 million. That is the net resources of your organization. However, a large component of that is in the Student Union Building Fund, which is like a sinking fund that students pay membership fees into, and the Health and Dental Fund. So the bulk of the surplus this year of about $550,000 does go into the Building Fund. The other funds are actually in a break even some losses this year. So that's the financial position at the end of the year, 6.7 million. And then turning the page to page 4 is a statement of operations. That's where the bulk of the activity is, where the statement of financial position was a point in time. The statement of operations shows your activities for the entire year, the revenues generated for the year, the disbursements for the year. And again, in column 11 is your totals for the year, $3.4 million in revenues, mostly membership fees through Capilano University. And then all the disbursements came in at $2.7 million. Wages, investments in your human resources, stipends to your board members, and the health and dental premiums are some of the larger components of your expenses. A surplus this year of $634,000. But again, just to highlight, in the third column, you'll find the bulk of that net income is accumulations in the building fund that is budgeted for to build up over time. The rest of the accounts are actually in a break even or a deficit this year. There's also just highlighted a contribution to your Capilano University Foundation endowment this year of $81,000, $82,000 on the very last line. So that's a quick look at your revenues, expenses on the statement of operations, your assets and liabilities on the statement of financial position on page 3, and our unqualified auditor's report on pages 1 and 2. So that's my presentation for your 2022 financial results. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alas. Now it's an opportunity for members of the CSU to ask questions of Mr. Alas concerning the financial statements. Are there any questions?
So I'll just ask folks, if you have questions, please use the Q&A function that you will see at the bottom of your Zoom interface. This allows us to make sure that we don't lose your question in the chat because it does move quite quickly for us. So with that Q&A function, you can indicate there if you have a question for Eric, the auditor. I'll wait another minute just to be sure, Eric. Must have been a good presentation. I don't see any questions.
Okay, if there's no more questions, then I'd ask for the following motion be put forward. Be it resolved that 2021-2022 audited financial statements be approved as presented. Is there a mover? Is there any debate concerning this motion?
There is a question in the chat from Harmon. Could you tell us a bit more about which accounts are in deficit?
Right. So on page 4, the statement of operations this year, there was in the operating fund. That's where you'll find at the bottom excess of revenues and expenses. So there was a couple of accounts. The operating fund account was in a deficit this year. That's probably a little bit coming back from COVID and building up operations. However, the operating fund did have $1 million accumulated surplus. And so it was just a bit of a drawdown this year. And a lot of that also included the contribution to the endowment of $82,000, which contributed to the drawdown. And the capital asset fund also it's a write down, really an accounting entry. So those were the two main ones in columns 1 and 2. You'll find them on page 4 at the bottom that had a deficit overall. You'll see again in column number 3 under the building fund, that's where the bulk of the surplus, it had a $700,000 surplus for the building fees, as we didn't have any expenses as you're continuing on in the building. And then the rest of the accounts were close to break even, modest surpluses for the year. I hope that answers.
Thank you. Are there other discussion regarding this motion? Did you hear that?
From a management perspective, in addition to Eric's perspective as well, I will mention too, looking back at the 2021-2022 fiscal year, the CSU does charge a lower fee for students who are exclusively studying online.
That's right.
One moment. Let's see if this makes my audio better. The CSU does charge a lower student society fee for students who are studying exclusively online. And so with the much higher number of online students during the previous fiscal year, that obviously impacted revenues in a way that the recovery to in-person learning was slower than both the CSU and the university had expected, and that was reflected in enrollment numbers. We have already seen for our first fee payment for the fall term, our first remittance from the university, we're already seeing that those numbers due to in-person instruction begin to recover. And we're also chatting with our finance and audit committee about a review of the fee structure because the services that were accessible online when that fee structure was originally approved are very different than the services and programs that are accessible to students online, given sort of 2.5 years of investment in online programs and service delivery. So we're confident in our projections that this is this deficit is not structural, and we expect that revenues will substantially recover this fiscal year.
Great point, Chris. I echo that. That's right. I should have mentioned that, and it was a good question. Also, you'll find the revenue overall on the top line has decreased this year, and that's really, Chris has pointed it out very nicely, that is really a good part of the deficit this year as well. You'll see that the revenue has dropped from the top line from 3.8 down to 3.3 million this year. A lot of that is what Chris was talking about, some of the makeup of the online. So the membership fees did drop in comparison to the prior years. Righto.
Thank you. As there's further debate concerning the motion to adopt the audited financial statements for 2021-2022, seeing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor, please press the thumbs up button. Thank you. Please lower your hands. And now I'll ask all or opposed to the financial statements to raise your hand. Thank you. The majority rules and the statements are adopted. Now let's proceed to the next motion, which is to appoint Tompkins Wasney LLP as the auditors for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. Is there a motion to this effect? Someone like to move this motion? Wakas Raman, which is to move this motion. Via Luthra, which is to second. Is there discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Please lower your hands. All those who are opposed to reappointing the auditors, please raise your hands. Okay, the motion carries. Now, we will not be able to adopt any special resolutions, but we will be able to proceed to the Board of Directors report. So I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Girardat for now.
Hello, folks. We have an annual report for you that recaps activities of the organization over the last several months. I will hand it over to our president, Karandeep, to offer an introduction to the report if you'd like. And then we are, of course, happy to take questions about the CSU's activities. Give us a moment while staff skip through the special resolutions that we're not able to consider today. We'll share a link to the annual report in the chat for you folks. Go ahead and use while Karandeep is giving his introduction, if you have questions for executives or the board, you can go ahead and use the Q&A function, and we will keep track of those questions and call them up for you.
So all the members just want to explain this is our annual general report, which is an annual report. It took a lot of time prepared with the help of all the members, all the staff spent a lot of time. You can access the report in the chat. There's a link sent by us. And yeah, you can ask any question on this. It contains all finances, everything. Everything is transparent. You can ask anything you wish to. Any question will be treated as a priority. Please. Thank you. So I've seen no question here. You can ask a question later on if you want. You can put any message to us. You can email us, any staff or any executive, any board member regarding any question you have in your mind. So you being a member, you have responsibility. You have right to ask anything you wish to. So yeah, here's our report is in front of you. Thank you. Yes, Chris, please.
I might just offer quickly, it's easy to attend our annual general meeting and then think, ooh, okay, engagement's done until the SAGM in the spring. But picking up on Karandeep's comment there, you folks through the CSU website, you can book appointments with all of our executives if you have issues or concerns that you'd like to bring to their attention or questions you'd like to ask. We also have a new and improved student rights office on the website as well, where you can book appointments with myself and other members of staff who are experts on navigating the university's appeal and dispute processes if you believe that you've been treated unfairly at the university or in the classroom. So feel free to make an appointment with us if an experience with an instructor has left you feeling that you may have been treated unfairly. You can even sign up to speak at a board meeting on a topic or concern that you have that you believe needs to be brought to the board's attention. All of these are available through the Capilano Students Union website, so check them out. I will say we do have, we do have, we'll wait a minute or two because we have had someone indicate that they have some questions for the president. So we'll wait for some of those to get entered, and then I will prompt those for the meeting. So we'll just hold, and I'll lower my hand as well. Okay, so our first question that we have entered, can we change the qualifications for CSU association representatives so that they have to be more specific about being a student within the faculty? So I think, and feel free to the questioner for this, feel free to message the panelists with whether or not I'm getting this correct. When you say association representatives, are you referring to the CSU board, or association sometimes refers to the CBPS? So if I can just confirm that with you quickly before I direct your question. Okay, so yes, this is referring to the CBPS. So this is a little bit of a technical question. I might take this one from you, Karandeep. So the short answer is yes. It is possible for the Capilano Business and Professional Society, the CBPS, in order to change the eligibility requirements, changes to either the CBPS bylaws would need to be proposed by council and approved by the CSU board, or those changes could also happen through the CSU's own student associations policy, which is up for review right now. So this is a really ideal opportunity to navigate that. So if folks want procedural advice, I think I would need to know more about the specific ideas or proposals to know which document is the right place to make those changes in. But yes, some of it can be done internally within the CBPS. Other elements might require a policy approval. So that was done. That is done. All right, we have a question. Do some instructors make a referral when make referral money when referring students to buy a specific book through their code or link? The answer to that is maybe. We, as the Students Union, we don't have access to more information about what sort of private deals might be in place between instructors and textbook publishers. So unfortunately, we don't have a specific answer for you for that one. Next question, Karandeep, this one is for you. I would like to ask Karan, when you were elected for presidency, you promised more inclusive events, but during Captivate, very limited communities were represented. How is that more inclusive? So we'll hand it over to you.
Sure. So I would say I have a list of priorities things that I'm discussing with the president of our university. You can check it out and you can find whom I'm including, whom I'm not. My all plans are collectively goodwill of all students, and specifically for Captivate, there are songs of 11 different languages that were played at that time. I'm not including any specific culture or any something. I'm promoting every student which are representing me. I try to play all that songs, even of different languages that they told me to play it during. The main reason behind that is the DJ we booked is not have a specific list of songs. You should require it. If you want to do something specifically, you can tell us before before the Captivate. You can come to our student engagement committees. You can tell what you want. We can do that. We happily want to do that. And for specifically, I have some specific plans which is more beneficial to the people of all communities. Like they are benefit. Like I'm working on the peer tutoring program. I'm working on parking fees. I'm working on a lot of different stuff. You can just browse it out like what I'm doing. So you can just find it out. That's not a tough question. And second one is also that the food and beer ran out in the first hour. So the event was booked for 350 people. We have a lot more attendees, and that's not a main reason. And other than that, there are some students which are not a part of, like, which are not from our university that are coming into it. We have that issues. So other than that, beer doesn't rent out. Beer was there for a long time, and due to some problems, we have food issues. We can't bring food from outside. We have to stay to our contracts that we already have. So we have a limited access to food. That's the main reason behind this.
I think I will add quickly, Karandeep, in terms of the
Please.
staff estimates that we did for liquor, The trend at the main campus for licensed events is fewer and fewer as a percentage of the attendees that we had at in-person events in the months prior to that event. The percentage of attendees who wanted to drink licensed beverages had really been falling, and the attendance numbers for Captivate didn't explode, I will say, in the way that they did until registration nearly doubled in 24 hours. Unfortunately, by that time, we had already applied for our special event permit, and the BC Liquor Distribution Branch does not permit an organization to purchase more liquor than was authorized in their initial permit without canceling the permit and reapplying. And with how late that change happened, there was a risk that the application would not have been approved in time. So it was unfortunate, but I can assure our members, I have asked staff to estimate on the higher end next time. And if we need to return some of the product, we need to return some of it. So hopefully that is addressed for our next go. We have our next question. Can you tell us about what things you have in mind for the future? You said you have a list. Can you name some things that you've already achieved from that list?
No worries. I don't want to just give you a single thing. I'm giving you a whole list, what is on my mind. So just listen carefully. So going towards, I'm working on International Fees Commission. I have a discussion with our CIE, like what are the fees on commissions? What are commission we are giving to agents? We are having chat like how can we stop that? How can we make students more independent so that they can save money? Going towards more, there is learning commons. I'm creating a 40 hours a week learning common, either with collaboration with university, or if not possible, I'm going to do that on my just through CSU, and through which we can assess 40 different subjects in a week, where you can do assignments, you can do anything you want. You can do discussions, you can do research projects, whatever you want. Then I have a talk about sports. Like we are planning to organize some sports, kind of sports competition through which anyone can join and participate in, increasing intramurals, something like that. We regularly have talks with Chatwells regarding what we can provide more info. Today I talked with Paul, and we had discussion that how Subway is helping students to eat more healthy, and how we can assess it in the next semester or something like that too. Other than that, the talk about internship, like entrepreneurship, about student business. Student can start their own business in university. They can sell anything. They can know how to run a business. It's a kind of CBPS thing, but I am I'm taking it like my own responsibility to help those students too. Then parking fees. Our university has the least parking fees possible. It's like $6 something. And still I'm having a chat, which is not possible, I know, but still I consider that too, because I think spending a $6 on car is hard, but it's not possible to decrease because it's like kind of already minimum. Yeah. So then we have academic course availability, which means our registration office and our other things are also already working on how to provide more courses in different semesters. Like we have very less courses in summer, we have slightly more in the winter semester, in the January semester. So we are just working on how to provide each courses in each semester. How is it possible? Everything is chat. I had a chat with our Paul Dangerfield. Today onwards, I had a chat how we can provide more practical based, application based courses. How can we utilize the material we already have on campus to make more courses available? We had biology labs, we have chemistry labs. So how can we assess it to make them more health based courses available, which can provide direct jobs in the nursing line, in medical line. Other than that, we have engineering laboratory in that. I also had a chat like how we keep which kind of diploma we can assess so that we can attract the students. We can provide students with the basic job they require. We just don't want to give them a bachelorate. We want to give them a livelihood. We want to give them jobs which they deserve. After that, we have we are working on how to make one building 24 hours open. So that means kind of which if someone has to stay on the campus, they can stay on the campus whenever they want. That's a big achievement if we are able to do that. After that, there's a big problem of books. Like we already seen a question on books. So providing books online is a big thing, but I also have a chat with Paul about that, and they are working with Daniel about that. How can we make that? They are talking with faculty. They are talking with the registration office. How can we make one course, one book? Like providing same books to all professors, requesting all professors to have a same book for same course, for like English 100, same book, Geography 100, same books. That's an example. Other than that, increasing slot timing for academic advisors, for international advisors, for counselors. Right now it's 30 minutes, but 30 minutes didn't work. So I had talked with about that, and they are thinking to increase that because students have more problems, students have more on their mind. They want to discuss more, so appointments time will be increased soon. And other than that, today I had some more chat, which I'm going to share you now. Increasing cafeteria hours, and one more thing that I talked with, like how to use e-learn as inform session. Like the new students who are coming to university will get a chance to learn how to use e-learn before starting the semester, and they will get interact with professors. They will get interact how to be comfortable with that, so they can be easily have access to the education. Then getting something pre-announcement for a final exam, so their schedule will be good. Other than that, we are working on increasing informations when booking course or program, like increasing what will be you studying when you have opted a course, what will be you become after the course, or how you are required to study during the course. So that's all we are discussing right now, and there are a lot of things in mind. If you have something in your mind, please come to us. We are happily want to go with your ideas. Other than that, we recently had lobbying activities through which we are representing whole British Columbian students, a lot like around 120 200 students of British Columbia, and in which we are talking about our MSP, our cap on international student fees. We are working on how to increase scholarship fees. We are working on student to increase the accessibilities to students with disability. We are working on sexualized violence. So that's all the all work we are doing. You can ask anything whenever you want. So that's the answer to that question. Thank you.
Okay. So we have the next question is for Karndeep as well. The one after that, Manpreet from the CSU. The one after this one would be more suited for you. So if you don't mind getting yourself ready to be promoted to panelist after Karndeep takes this next one, please. So the next question, the subs, one moment, please. Give me just a moment. Okay, folks. So our next question Manpreet's right there. Perfect. Our next question is still for Karandeep, though. The substance of the question is what initiatives are you doing to advance the interests of international students?
So I already mentioned a lot of things regarding international students. We talked with MLAs regarding MSP, and I think that's for international students because only they are paying. We talked about cap on international student fees. We talked about disabilities, and international students are also included in that, like just creating 40% course load and considered as a full time for internationals for this student with disabilities. Other than that, I have a talk with Chris Bottrell, yeah, regarding what are the commissions we are sending to agents which are sitting in the student in the countries or in the home countries of students which are coming internationally, like how much commission we are paying. I don't want to share the details with it. You can ask anything you want from me, but I would like to say we are working on it, how we can create something which can help students save more as much as they can. We are providing them a way with how to save more money. I'm like, as I already explained, I'm working on the things like creating more, increasing the programs, increasing availabilities. That's all includes international students. They are also getting benefit from that. I am working on, I will say, on like creating one book for one course, and I think that also works for international students. They are also saving money for this. Yeah.
Okay, our next question, which is probably most appropriate, I think, for Manpreet in their capacity as VP Student Affairs. What is the CSU actively doing other than the sign-up campaign regarding promoting open educational resources, or OERs, to faculty to mitigate some of the extravagant fees that students have to pay for publisher textbooks?
Okay, so to provide some context for this, the discussion for OERs is there's sort of a committee in motion for it. We're bringing back the campaign. We're talking with faculty on how some people who are already doing that work can teach other faculty members to do that, because there are grants that you can access to get OERs and like reduce the prices of books. So in collaboration with what Karandeep said, we can also, necessarily have that one book free as well. This would obviously take time, as all things do, but there is a semi-committee in motion that is talking about OERs with students and faculty.
Thank you. I'll move on to the next question in a moment. I will add an issue that is newly on the CSU's radar related to open educational resources, is taking a look at how to advocate against the practice that some instructors, not all instructors, to be fair, but we've become aware that some instructors are not only requiring very expensive textbooks, but are then also only teaching and grading using assignments and exams that are behind that publisher's paywall and are automated through the publisher. So no actual subjective assessment being undertaken by the instructor. That's something that we're now exploring as well. Our next question, I think this is probably most directed to Karandeep as president. Some recently elected board members did not attend the candidate forums or have a campaign statement. How do you plan to work with these people to make sure your policies and priorities align, considering the lack of communication?
Just a moment, I'm reading the question. So just clearing this thing, I'm not election administrator. I would not like to comment anything on this. It's a responsibility of election administrator to regulate this. Thank you.
Okay. Our next question, which I think is probably most directed to Manpreet as affairs. The CSU should help students get their co-ops. Is there any plan to really help students, because we pay a normal term to do a co-op, but there's not a lot of compromise from the university to help us find a good co-op?
I don't think currently there is something that specifically helps students find co-ops, but because technically this is not decided by us. But if you want to bring it up, by all means do, and we can talk with faculty about it.
I would like to enter something on this. I already had a chat with our president of university. So there's a whole like cycle how something works. They have asked to province to get some courses. They are not like just introduce any course. They are just working on, like I already told, they are very interested in including baccalaureate in health science, something like that. They already asked a few years ago, but they're rejected by the province, as they said. it's like very complicated process. It's not that easy that you get anything. You get licenses, you get permits, and a lot of things. Being a public university, you are not allowed to do anything at your own. There are some other universities which are providing co-op. So the province just clearly said that those universities have co-op. You are a learning-based university. You are not a co-op based university. There are different types of university: research-based university, practical-based university, application-based universities like BCIT. That's a kind of application-based university. UBC is a research-based university. So all the courses and programs are divided according to that.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Raghav. Do you also have a list of things on how you can promote more inclusivity? I feel that a lot of people from different communities, specifically those who are not South Asian, feel like they are underrepresented, and a lot of them felt the same at Captivate and were pretty upset. I would like for you to address them.
So clearly saying CSU always welcomes anyone regarding, doesn't matter which community they belong, he, she belong, doesn't matter. So anyone can come up and say what they want. We are happily organizing their events. We are willing to organize culture exchange event where we would like to, I already had planned with our VP student affairs, like how we can organize a culture exchange event through which we can ask the students of different cultures to get an exchange with each other, share ideas, share food, share thoughts. So I think that's the best way to get a mixer.
Thank you very much. Our next question is directed to Karandeep by the questioner from Samantha. Question for Karandeep. As CSU president, you represent the CSU, an organization that advocates for numerous minorities, including LGBTQ plus folks. You have a plan moving forward for more inclusion of people of color, LGBTQ plus.
So clearly saying we didn't see anything as a minority. We give everything a equivalent response. We have collectives for everything. We have collectives for everything which you can consider minority. Nothing is minority. We consider everything equal. We all are same at the one thing. We have, for specifically for saying LGBTQ plus, we have Queer Resource Center. We organize CSU is responding at the Pride Crosswalk event. So I think we are working on it. You can just browse the things which are ongoing in university, and please visit our Queer Resource Center in Birch Building Place.
Okay. Thank you. Our next question is from Anmal. I believe this is directed to the president as well. All the plans stated by Karandeep sound very fascinating, but somewhere I don't feel they are promising in terms of attainability. Are there any deadlines set to achieve any or all goals?
Clearly saying I'm a student leader. I'm not holding the position in university or in government, so I can't say the goals which are not in my hand, when are they going to be achieved. But I am constantly working on them. I'm constantly talking with anyone I can. I am just talked with executive director itself themselves, like a day before yesterday or yesterday, I don't remember, like how I'm planning to work on food security. I'm planning to send a letter to ministry itself to be more precise, like what I want to do. I talked with our university faculty for university staff first, like how can we working on that. So the things that are in my hand, I can do that. I can say that this is the deadline. As I talked about culture exchange event, I can say that I will do this before the end of this term. But I can't say anything on the courses. I am constantly advocating on the courses, but I can't say any deadline. You can understand what I mean. Like I'm working on it constantly, but I can't set deadline because it's not in my hand. I'm working on it. Thank you.
I'll mention as
Yes.
well, I think from a management perspective, our student executive team is not on their own when it comes to the implementation of priorities and initiatives. So each summer, myself and staff, we support the executive in translating their priorities into, I think, the sort of attainable goals that Anmal is referring to. So we do have an annual plan this year, for example, that has 60 initiatives that have been planned out with an actual target and with due dates. And those include both an executive sponsor to provide leadership from the elected side of the House, as well as a staff member responsible to carry forward the implementation. So just some assurance there that our executive team is supported with carrying out initiatives that do get brought up to us. So our next question from Harmon for Karandeep, but there's also an interface, I think, with Manpreet's position here, and potentially actually with Ariana as well as VP External on the government side. For Karandeep, you said you are working on putting a cap on international student fees. How long do you think it will take to implement it? And Ariana, before you jump in, Karandeep, if Ariana has anything to add, just message the panel or message the hosts, and we'll promote you as well.
Sure, I would like to take answers from Ariana too. I just want to say, fortunately, we already have cap on it from our university. I said we are working it on provincial base. Provincial, we are working. Just want to clear some members. I said we. I never said I. So we are already working on it, and our university already have that. Like we are capped on it.
Thank you, Manpreet or Ariana, who either of you have? We will move on. Our next question. Many of those listed projects were already CSU projects. Which ones are the president working on that are new? Also, isn't the ABCS our provincial lobbying group, of which the president is not a delegate and that is led by VP External Ariana?
Already answered. I said we are working on it, not I. So I'm not an individual. I'm a student representative in form of CSU. I'm a part of CSU. So CSU is working on it. I already said we. And CSU is a part of ABCS, so it's also included in we. And it's I would like to say, you said we are already working on it. So is it bad to work constantly on the things we are working on it? But I would like to say there are many things that are not on the list of our president of university. They are now on it. I include many things. I included a whole list. I spoke out like more than 25 items. Thank you.
Thank you. Given the time and per Robert's rules, I am going to begin prioritizing questions from speakers or from folks posing questions who have not yet had a question answered. And we will then circle back and begin returning to folks who have submitted supplemental questions. So rest assured, we will get to you. We have a question from Sina. Who can we contact and write to in terms of instructors, forcing us to buy the textbooks from one source only? And if not, you can't pass the course since you'll be missing all assignments and quizzes. Can you give us the information on who we can contact? In terms of instructors forcing you to buy textbooks, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your perspectives, instructors have a good deal of discretion and academic freedom in determining which text they would like to use in their classrooms. We have found that direct advocacy to the instructor is less effective than building a team of instructors of their own peers who really favor open educational resources and more accessible options. So that includes us working with the Center for Teaching Excellence, for example, which is led by faculty. If you have a specific complaint about an instructor where you believe that the affordability of the textbook really has significantly hindered your ability to proceed in the course, I'd encourage you to book an appointment with one of our advocate staff through the Student Rights Office on the CSU website, and we can learn more about your specific situation and see where we may be able to assist you. If you have ideas on how we can engage in that work more effectively, Manpreet, as VP Student Affairs, is the executive lead for the Open Educational Resources Campaign, which there's a good deal, it's called the Make the Switch campaign, pardon me. So I think we could look at ideas there. Our next question is, would it be possible to request that the professors send us the syllabus prior to the first class and then actually have a full lecture in week 1. It's common to only be in class for 30 to 60 minutes before being dismissed. This would greatly help students, especially people with disabilities, to make the final changes to their schedules and actually receive what they paid for. Finally, it would give one more lecture, more time over the semester for the professors to have interesting discussions or activities. So I think that is on the academic side of the house and would probably best be fielded by Manpreet as VP Student Affairs.
We have been sort of connecting issues for students that they have, and we then take them to the university president. As currently already mentioned, this issue about the exam course being more specific is already in discussion. But technically, we can't make instructors just do anything. Some of them already share the course syllabus beforehand, some of them don't. We can talk about it, definitely. It would be helpful if you bring these issues to student engagement committee or campaigns and advocacy, because there are places you can bring this up. And then we can get the work in motion with the support of more students than just being our voices and administration. Thank you.
And I would like to say on this, so there is some question that CSU is already working on it. What is new? So new thing is there is no one before this going to student to student, sitting in cafeteria, sitting in some places for whole month, for a whole time to ask what's the problem. There's no one asking them. Me and Student Affairs is engaged in this. As I already told our executive team that we are working on this. We are going to student asking what's their problem. We are writing it down point by point. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Mimi. I find that there is not much space for students to study. The rooms are all taken or desks are full. What is being done to provide more space for students?
As already said, oh, sorry. Please.
I think a very exciting project here that I might mention, and Marco, just message us if you'd like to speak to this as well as VP Finance and Services. You folks heard a little bit earlier today from Eric Alice, our auditor, about surplus in the Student Union Building Fund. That is actually a really exciting and significant project that the CSU has been working on for years and continues to work on, including some exciting progress that we reported in our annual report today. So the CSU does actually have plans to build a multi-story student union building on the North Vancouver campus, which will include the majority of that, the vast majority, is new student space, including a floor that would be designated as a quieter floor that is more appropriate for studying and quieter small group projects and that sort of thing that could be repurposed as an event space as well. So really looking at flexible usability. That is one of the major things that the CSU is working on right now and is going to start picking up steam soon as some of the utility studies for that project wrap up. And I see Marco has been promoted to panelist. Marco, feel free to chime in as well on that project if you have anything else to add or with respect to student spaces more generally.
Just while Marco is responding to this, I just want to say, as I already said, I'm working on a 40 hours policy, like in which we will make students to study 40 hours in a week. I was saying to collaborate with university. That's for space. We're collaborating with university for space to increase the space.
Thank you.
I also saw some questions just regarding what is president working specifically on. So just want to give a definition of president of CSU. President of CSU is to work on every field in which they are including. Working internally, working externally, working on finances, working on equity and sustainability. So I believe I'm working on every field. You can check any record, any report of mine. I included everything I'm working on. And if you want to see my ideas, what are my ideas? I'm sharing my ideas. You can check any interview. You can check the interviews of our university president, what I'm working on. Thank you.
Our next question from Raghav. is the question essentially is that we've chatted about financial and educational aspects of work to benefit students. But Raghav would like to know what initiatives we are working on that are more related to inclusivity, making sure that folks feel included in the community. And I think that could be Karandeep, but I think that could also be any of the executives in terms of your portfolios.
Can you just repeat the question, Chris? I just don't get it.
Sure, I'll read it verbatim for this one. I feel like all the things you just said, and Karandeep, this was in response to one of your answers. I feel like all the things you just said would definitely benefit students, but I would like to know how are they related to more inclusivity? Those have more financial and educational aspects, but how does this relate to them feeling more included in the community?
So as I said, we are already working on the things in which the matter is required inclusivity. It includes disabilities. They are the one who are facing problems. International students, they are the one who are facing problems, living away from their home. We are working on scholarships for domestic students who take loans. It includes inclusivity of every part, everyone, like including finances. We are considering finances. Everyone is seeing hardships in the finances this time. Trying to reduce MSP is a part of this. And I think, for just saying free online books is a part of this, or less parking fees is a part of this.
Thank you. Our next
question. I just want to say one more thing. I just see a question in before, and someone is saying like there are less food options available after the cafeteria get closed, and the vending machines are like just have some things, a few options available. So I like the like this. I will surely talk about increasing the variety in our vending machines. Thank you.
I will mention for folks as well, in case you haven't seen it yet, if you don't mind the walk up to the BOSA Center for Film and Animation on the first floor near the cafe that's there, they actually do have a new vending machine by a company called Up Meals that does actually have fresh refrigerated options like sandwiches, wraps, salads, bowls, that sort of stuff. And that's accessible whenever the building is open. So it's not a substitute for a cafeteria, but it is an option that is not a chocolate bar or chips. Our next question. The BOSA Center is open until 11 p.m. just in response to a comment we've received in the chat to non-BOSA students. For the first floor anyway, not the rest of it. Our next question is, I don't think we have any more first time. Oh, that for folks who didn't hear it is in the BOSA Center to respond to that question. So we're back at second or third time questions. We will go to Harmon's question. Nope, never mind. Hold on. My Q&A is glitching. Give me just a second. We've received lots of questions. Okay, let's go to a question from Ishida. To my knowledge, the president and CSU board have the last say on the policies regarding the CSU elections. So what is the board going to do to address slating, misconduct, and the unfair election of CSU or CVPS members?
So I would just want to say there are very strong steps already present there on slating, on misconducts, on unfair means. If someone finds unfair means, election administration just required evidence, give the evidence, they will be disqualified. There's a very strong step, just disqualify. I think that's enough. Just disqualify the candidate if you find something wrong. Other than that, I would like to say governance committee has the special thing, got the special things from Ron last time, election administrator, like the things they want to change. Like this time also we got something that they want to change in the policies. So yeah, we are working on this. And I can say this can be questioned to governance committee chair too. Thank you.
I'll just note for folks, chat messages go to the hosts and panelists. Our next question, there are no other first-time question askers. Our next question is from Sophia. My question was not answered. Let me rephrase. As president, you will have to work with all board members. Without knowing the priorities of other board members, will make it challenging for the CSU to work cohesively to pass bylaws and make significant change. Do you have a plan to discuss priorities with new or old board members to ensure an effective transition into office?
Firstly, I would like to say our CSU board is working very well. There is no problem we are facing. We have a good transition. We have a good kind of communication with each other, and we are always trying to get more involved. We have a mixers. We want some kind of communication skills which can improve this. Like I will already say for making laws, bylaws, I think we are working on it. Like there's no problem. Yeah, we have good communications. Yeah, thank you.
Our next question is how can we enter or sign up from the CSU from Drishya? So there are a few ways to do this. In terms of signing up for the CSU, every student at Capilano University who pays CSU fees is a member of the Capilano Students Union. This means things like you are eligible to attend and vote at today's annual general meeting. It includes the right to join CSU's committees as a student at large member. It includes the ability to join the volunteer program, as well as to access funding and benefits and services and discounts that are available through the CSU. If you're interested in signing up to be a member of the Capilano Students Union Board of Directors or to run for election as one of our executives, the next opportunity to do that will be in the new year. So our by-elections just concluded for folks who are in office until May 31st. If you'd like to put your name in the hat, if you will, for the term of June 1st, 2023 to May 31st, 2024, nominations will open in February 2023. So keep your eyes out for that notice. That will be the next opportunity to run in a CSU election, assuming that you're meaning how to get involved with the board. Okay, our next question. Oh,
yeah. Just one thing, I just saw a comment in the chat. Like someone is saying I meant for the new board members. So I would like to say there's a whole training process through which a new board member goes, and our staff, especially executive director, works on that. So I think there's no such problem of kind of transition, or we can say, yeah, we get like, it's like very easy, like when someone is just helping you at every step, like what to do, when to do. Yeah.
Thank you. Our next question is second time questions first. So from Mimi, thank you for answering my previous question. I would like to make a note about the CapU gym facility. Myself and many other gym users at CapU agree that there is equipment that would be beneficial to add to the gym, and it would also be great to expand as it is always full. So perhaps not a question, but more of a suggestion for the executive and board to consider. Another second time question from Ashneet. I once needed a laptop while I was on campus and wasn't carrying my own device. I wanted to borrow a laptop and work at a comfortable location. However, the library doesn't lend laptops on an hourly basis to university students, unlike other universities. Could this change? Like the borrowing of laptops for the entire semester, can we also make it possible to borrow devices on an hourly basis as well? If any executive would like to take that, feel free.
Thank you, Ashneet. I really like your both recommendations, and but I would like to say we are already working on this one. Like we are already working on providing more and more devices on rental policies on like so it can be more accessible to all students. And thanks Ashneet for once again. I like your both suggestions.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Maya. I would like to hear about what tangible projects will be worked on and not a list of ideas. The CSU constantly approves letters to ministries for advocacy. What other tangible things are being done?
So
I think this might be, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm answering that. No. I would like to say, I'm not saying I'm only writing letters to ministry or advocacy. I'm giving them the ways I think other people are not thinking. The possibilities. I'm giving probabilities, like this can be done, this can be done. This is a one of the kind of permutation. Like these are the possible outcomes. You can choose anyone you want. I'm giving them a solutions. I'm not just requesting them. I'm not requesting for funds. I'm requesting them. I'm giving them solutions. That these are solutions. These are possible outcomes. You can choose anyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, where can students see the president's report? I think I can answer this one. So for all agenda items across for board meetings, those include reports from each of the executives as well as myself as executive director if you're more interested in the operations. Not everyone is, but I think it's fun. You can find those at csu.bc.ca/governance or by navigating the homepage menus on the CSU website. There you'll find all agenda items for the board meetings, not just the reports of executives and committee chairs, but also the background materials for upcoming decisions that the board is going to be making or for past decisions as well. So short answer, on the website. Our next question is from Ishida. You mentioned that everyone is facing hardships. But then why isn't the student funding that we pay as a fee going towards scholarships rather than things like treasure hunts? Treasure hunt is in Manpreet's area as VP Student Affairs, and scholarships are in Marco's, but I think Marco just mentioned that he needs to leave. So I can maybe speak to the scholarships piece, but over to you, Manpreet.
I just would like to say that a treasure hunt is not started by us. It's already started by some other government that's already been there. And now I would like to pass towards student.
We do have, just to say a little bit about scholarships, we do have special needs scholarships, right? And honestly, that does not come under us a lot. Like, yes, we have priorities for student scholarships, but we have so many others as well. Do we just pick one and leave the rest? No, we can't do that because we have our own departments that we work in. And the university has a lot of scholarships that we help students access if they are confused about how to do that. But yeah, we can't just put all the money in one place when people have so many expectations of us. So treasure hunt, it was liked by so many students. There was like super positive feedback to that. And even in that, we have student cards and stuff that students can use. It's not just a fancy thing that we do. It's actually beneficial to students as well. And connecting students with each other is also one of our priorities, and that helps with it. So I think that sort of sums it up. Thank you.
I think I can offer on behalf of Marco as well. The Capilano Students Union, since the start of the pandemic, has actually donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to the University Foundation in order to bolster the awards and financial assistance available through the Capilano Students Union. Over the course of that time, that has now resulted in a suite of awards, scholarships, and bursaries that includes the CSU's Community Engagement Award that already existed, the Equity Leadership Award, and then in terms of needs-based and emergency financial assistance, we have a Student Society Emergency Assistance Fund that provides emergency bursaries to students. Because the ministry doesn't allow that fund to be used for international part-time and out-of-province students, we also self-funded a parallel fund to provide emergency bursaries to those students who are ineligible for the main fund as well, to make sure that they are not left behind. And the CSU also in the last 12 months or so stood up, and they are now available for disbursement. We now have a Black Student Support Fund, a Disabled Student Support Fund, and a trans, non-binary, and two-spirit student support fund as well. So lower barrier funds for folks to be able to access lower barrier emergency financial assistance. And that included, as Eric mentioned, we did contribute $81,000 to the University Foundation to increase access to those funds as well, which contributed to the deficit in the operating fund. Okay, our next question, I think Ragav has asked the least times right now, so I'm going to go to Ragav's question next. I don't mean to stretch my question, but I would like to rephrase it a little. I understand the financial aspect, but the thing is, people don't really feel like they are a part of the community. It's different from international fees, MSP, etc. It's more about some feeling they don't belong at CAP because it prefers certain communities more. What can we do to make them feel that everyone is important and their concerns are equally valid?
So I would like to answer this. We are working on CSU movie Wednesdays. We are having movies each Wednesday of different languages, subtitles in English, so they can get mixers. I already said collectives. We had our we have indigenous resource center, we have queer resource center, where one can get a mixer. So I think that's the best way of get in form of community. If you get a feel of single community, that's the best way. Because I just believe that we have a movie yesterday, and there are a lot of students who are watching this, and we are focusing on like I already told executive director, we are already focusing on all the major languages group that are in our university to give us a feeling of singularity. And other than that, I would like to say uh, I would like to say, like, we already working on this, and we already have a mixers. I already said, like, we can have a culture exchange event. I think that's a path to make them feel yeah. Other than that, if you want to add something, please tell us if you have anything up on your mind.
Our next question from Mimi, just to add, is okay. So perhaps they did intend for it to be a question and not a suggestion. Mimi has added, is there any comment to respond to my previous concern about the gym being full and a lack of equipment?
Can you repeat the question, please? I'm not able to see the question.
So the original question that Mimi asked, so I might pull that back up as a reminder, was, give me a moment, it's just in a different column. So Mimi noted for us that themselves and many other gym users at CAP agree that there is equipment that would be beneficial to add to the gym, and it would also be great to expand as it is always full. And so they're hoping for comment from us on what advocacy we do with the Center for Sport and Wellness.
As I already said, I talked with Paul Dangerfield regarding intramurals, on collaboration with CSU, a collaboration of CSU and CAPU for making sports tournaments so everyone can be a part of this. And from next time, I'm also including gym in this. By the way, gym is not part of CSU, and I just want to inform you, it's a part of Capilano University. Like, it's not under our control. And I already talked regarding the sports, because I just believe like Capilano Blues just have the professionals or elite players, and not everyone can be part of that, but we just want some tournaments so that everyone can enjoy or play the sports.
Our next question, is from Ashneet. My question is more academic based. As a business bachelor student, I do feel that there could be more opportunities, more networking, and learning, such as case competitions and different events. What are your thoughts about it? And if it already happens, could I know more about it? So Ashneet, I see as you are a business bachelor student interested in getting more networking and case competitions and different events. The Capilano Business and Professional Society is a student association specifically established by and for students in the Faculty of Business and Professional Studies. So perhaps one of my staff colleagues, I might ask you to drop a link to the CBPS page on the website where folks can learn more. All right, our next question is from Maya. Follow-up of my first question. The president has a very specific role, even without siloing the CSU work. Where can we check what the president himself is working on? We all know the CSU works as a whole, but there are specific areas executives work on.
So just clearly saying everything, as I read the list in the beginning of the meeting, all the work is done by president alone. I'm not asking any executive or board member what are the ideas. If they're giving me ideas, I'm including that. So all that ideas were just mine feeling, that feeling that student face, the problems that student face that I bring and go to the university. All that's are my own work. It's not, I don't want to take any credit if I'm including that it's CSU's work, but if you want to clearly saying, I'm working at it, like just thinking of that on. Yeah, that's my ideas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Drishia. As being a psych student, are there any ways we can know where a student can go in terms of their mental health or well-being, etc.? I think we're assuming that Manpreet is going to take that.
Sure. So for mental health, we have within CSU, we have Empower Me service for all students that you can access anytime, on call or Zoom or whatever way you want, and it's accessible to all students. And the university has a counseling service as well that you can look up. I'm not sure exactly how the university one works, but I know that they have a website for it, and you just go on and register for your session. So you can go with that as well. I hope that's it.
Chris, you're muted.
Yeah, there is one question left, and that is a question from Maya. Sorry, I only ever found 3 or 4 reports from the president. It looks like, I think the question can be summed up as where can folks access reports from the president, and I'll direct folks to csu.bc.ca/governance on the CSU's website. Folks are also welcome, if you do have questions for Karandeep in his capacity as president, you're also welcome to book appointments. Each of our executives are required to keep office hours during which they're available for appointments to meet with students, to talk about anything you'd like, and to answer your questions there as well. So you're welcome to sign up for those through the CSU's website as well.
Are there further questions for the board of directors?
The follow-up question is, where are the other reports other than the 3 or 4 that are present? And Karandeep, I'll direct that to you.
Sure. So clearly saying, just read my first report. Everything is included in that. You can just find out what am I working from the first day. Even I included the days that are not a part of my term. I included it from like May, like I attended meetings in May too. So I think I'm working.
Okay. There is one question that I cannot dismiss that has already been answered, but is glitched in my Q&A. But I don't see any new ones right now.
Okay, there are no further questions. And I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Kyla Fudette moves to adjourn. Is there a seconder? Seconded, Nico Williamson. Okay, we'll now proceed to a vote to adjourn this meeting. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your hands. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Okay, folks, thank you. We've had a good meeting, a bunch of spirited questions. We will have another general meeting in half a year. We'll also have our general election in half a year. Please make sure to vote in the general election. And if you're interested, run as a candidate. Thank you, folks.
So I want to thank everybody so much for coming. Really appreciate